Hello there, I'm the serial plagiarist. So you guys know I'm the kind of guy who likes to experiment. So I ended up thinking of a creative idea for my next video, and I think I got it. Dave Filoni in the world of RPGs. It's so clever that I can't believe I didn't think of it until now. Now that I've brought it up, I'm going to answer the question of what Dave Filoni would do in the Commonwealth of Fallout 4. I mean, after all, Fallout 4 has a lot of similarities with Filoni's writing tropes, such as filler content and plot hole-ridden stories with hand-waved-away implications. Fallout 4 is certainly up Dave Filoni's alley, so let's insert him into this world and see what happens. First, the intro.
War. War never changes. In the year 1945, my great-great-grandfather, serving in the army, wondered when he'd get to go home to his wife and the son he'd never seen. He got his wish when the U.S. ended World War II by dropping the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The world awaited Armageddon. Instead, something miraculous happened. We began to use atomic energy not as a weapon, but as a nearly limitless source of power. People enjoyed luxuries once thought the realm of science fiction. Domestic robots, fusion-powered cars, portable computers. But then, in the 21st century, people awoke from the American dream. Years of consumption led to shortages of every major resource. The entire world unraveled. Peace became a distant memory. It is now the year 2077. We stand on the brink of total war. And I am afraid for myself, for my wife, for my infant son. It's as if my time in the army taught me one thing. It's that war never changes.
On October 23rd, 2077, around a dozen minutes before the Great War starts, we get introduced to our, well, I would say hero, but the thing is, he's not going to be very heroic. I spent at least 20 minutes trying to get a Dave Filoni face for this playthrough, and it was not easy. I had to stare at a picture of Dave Filoni for this to work. Anyways, the result was this monstrosity that had an uncanny resemblance to the man. Much like Filoni's writing style, a Vault Tech rep shows up minutes before the war starts and approves us entry into the local Vault 111. How convenient. Way to make things too easy for the good guys.
Now, I can't wait for the world to end.
And it's here where we select our special stats. We don't get a lot of points, but I think it's accurate to say that this clan has the charisma of a snake oil salesman and the intelligence of a tadpole. You could also give him 10 luck, but the problem is that there's not enough points. He's also useless in every other regard. In this universe, Filoni somehow managed to score a hot wife and a kid, Sean Filoni, or Filoni Jr. Dave Filoni is very happy in life, until the nuclear war starts. The communist Chinese launched some bombs, and now it's straight to the vault. The elevator goes down, and Filoni is led to a cryo-freezing chamber, while his wife Nora sits opposite him with Filoni Jr. Anyways, after being frozen for an unknown amount of time, a mysterious party shows up, kills Filoni's wife, and takes Filoni Jr. away, all before we're re-frozen. Despite it being an obvious detail, it takes Filoni a little while to catch on to the fact that Filoni Jr. probably isn't going to be a baby by now. Filoni gets accustomed to rad roaches before taking a Pip-Boy off a dead body like the leech he is. and he uses it to leave the vault. We arrive to the surface, and returning to Sanctuary Hells, we find out that it's been 210 years since the bombs dropped, and it's clear that whoever wrote this game has no idea how long 210 years actually is. Now that the world is fucked, Filoni is free to do whatever the hell he wants. Now it's a world of survival of the fittest, and Filoni's gonna do what he damn well pleases. The first perk I ever unlocked for Filoni was Idiot Savant, and it's a running theme to say the least. Filoni figures that he won't find anything in Concord, so he just walks around to find other distractions. He helps a dude and his sidekick kill a family of 2 who owes them drug money, completely retconning them out of existence. He also has such dumb luck to find a healthy German Shepherd out that adores him instantly. Maybe it's because he's a furry. Anyways, the first real group Filoni comes across are a team of 3 fending off feral ghouls. After assisting them, Filoni realizes that he's come face to face with a recon team of the Brotherhood of Steel. And it's here where Filoni gets excited, because he's one for nostalgia and fan service. He assists Paladin Dance with his task, and he gleefully accepts the offer to become a full-fledged member of the Brotherhood of Steel, but not before shaking Dance down for some mercenary money. Eventually, Filoni found his way to Diamond City, and plays along with Piper as she tries to get herself back inside. Filoni asks for directions, and he's pointed to Nick Valentine, a detective who lives in town. Nobody conveniently gives him a description of what Nick Valentine looks like, not even his employee Ellie. Filoni decides to shake Ellie down for some money in order to make sure he gets some payment for the rescue attempt. Along the way, he does an interview for Piper, and he's nothing but a smug, sarcastic asshat the whole way through.
How would you describe your time on the inside?
It was just me and 1,000 guinea pigs. They turned carnivorous.
The second after the interview, there's a confrontation going on between a brother who accuses his, brother of being a synth, before the Diamond City guard turns up and kills the accuser. Filoni seizes the opportunity to be a sarcastic asshat.
I need you to step away, Scabber.
Why the glum face? I thought random murder was routine around here.
You shut your mouth. We're risking our lives every day to keep assholes like you safe. Now move along.
And as you may have gathered, this will be a running theme. He also seizes the opportunity to steal a Nuka-Cola Quantum from the stand while everyone is shaken and confused. I always thought it was funny that you could just take an item away to a secluded location and steal it without consequences. With that being said, let's continue. So by this point, Filoni found his new favourite weapon, a furious power fist, which he got from a giant creature, to punch everyone who gets in his way. That's basically how the Triggermen meet their demise, as Filoni punches his way through the subway station. I should also mention that Filoni scored both a Silver Shroud and Grognak the Barbarian costume from a local comic book shop, and he decided to cosplay as the Barbarian, despite never having read the comics. The same goes for Star Wars 2, by the way. So Filoni meets Nick Valentine, who turns out to be a synth created by none other than the Institute. By now, Filoni has picked up that the Institute is a shadowy faction that kidnaps people and replaces them with synthetics as a means of spying on the Commonwealth. But Filoni doesn't really care that much. Point is, we come across the dude who holed up Nick, Skinny Malone, and his psychotic girlfriend. She asks what the hell we're doing here, and Filoni is as sarcastic as ever.
That wasn't the plan originally, but hey, tempting.
Hey, I'm the one in charge here. You got something to say? Say it to me.
By now, you're probably worried at how Filoni is going to affect the fate of the Commonwealth with his choices. But regardless, Filoni manages to convince Skinny Malone to cuck his girlfriend, and that's where the dude gives us to the count of 10 to scram. So Filoni and Nick meet back up in Diamond City, and Nick questions us in the hunt for Filoni Jr. Through the line of questioning, we find out that the dude who kidnapped Sean, Kellogg, perhaps the dumbest name for a mercenary ever, lives in Diamond City. We could have gotten this information from literally anyone else in the city, but of course, we're hard locked to getting this information from Nick Valentine. So yeah, Kellogg's our man. We tried to sneak into his house, but it's locked, and Filoni couldn't pick locks to save his life, hence why he stayed as a novice for this entire playthrough. So he has to beg the mayor for a key. He manages to get one after enough incessant whining, and finally he's got access to the house. Filoni and Nick discover a secret room, and find out that Kellogg loves a cigar brand named San Francisco Sunlights, and Filoni uses the dog he found earlier, who's been tagging along to get the scent, and lead him to Kellogg. Filoni and Dogmeat spend a long time tracking Kellogg's scent, until they make it to a little bunker, and Filoni unsurprisingly fist fights his way through. Despite his magical combat talents, Kellogg doesn't take Filoni seriously. And how could anyone? The dude's stuck with that smug-ass grin for the entire playthrough. That was a byproduct of me trying to make him look like Dave Filoni in the first place. But hey, I'm not complaining, it fits. However, Filoni manages to murder Kellogg with just a few punches, and he takes all the junk shit he has, including his clothes and gun. He finds out that Kellogg doesn't have Filoni Jr. because he's at the Institute, and Kellogg was tasked with finding an escaped Institute scientist in the glowing sea. Returning to Diamond City, Nick comes up with a super convoluted plan to go through Kellogg's memories with a piece of his brain after Kellogg himself was turned into cornflakes. And Nick suggests going to the memory den in Good Neighbor to go through Kellogg's memories. Needless to say, the implications of going through another man's memories is just hand-waved away. Just like any one of Filoni's terrible Star Wars shows. And then we go and explore. Now, Filoni isn't interested in going through the entire life story of Kellogg. His tragic story of childhood abuse and finding a family who ends up getting killed is of no interest to Filoni, so he just skips to the end. And turns out that's the only memory that really matters, because boom, teleportation. That's how the Institute gets in and out of the Commonwealth. We find out that 10 years have passed, and Filoni is so stupid that he only figured it out now. Oh, and by the way, the Brotherhood of Steel show up. But just like the Mandalorian, Filoni decides that that's a plot point for another time. Anyways, Filoni decides to dick around in Good Neighbor for a bit, including meeting this guy named Kent, who has a dream to bring the Silver Shroud to life. Filoni thinks he'll be great at enforcing justice, and initially has a lot of fun with the role.
Your crimes have gone unpunished for too long.
But then he's tasked with dealing with the guy who is selling drugs to children, and he offers the Silver Shroud a bribe of 50 caps. But the Shroud thinks that's too low. So he gets the dealer to raise it to a whopping 200, and thus, justice is served. As in, letting a drug dealer live in peace. Murder obviously wouldn't be the solution, right? Anyways, this charade goes on for a little too long. So much to the point where a gangster named St. John kidnaps Kent, and demands the Shroud confront him at an old hospital far away from Good Neighbor. Needless to say, nobody wastes Filoni's time, because it's Filoni who does the time wasting. And upon arriving to confront St. John, he kills Kent on the spot, and everyone there is shocked.
Jesus! He's crazier than Sinjin!
What the?
I never even liked that idiot.
Yeah, Filoni has no filter. And that's the end of the Silver Shroud quest. Finally, Filoni decides it's time to stop padding out the runtime with handcrafted quests, and decides to get on the Pridwin at the Boston airport, so he can grind out Radiant quests to get the farmers to help out the Brotherhood of Steel by donating their crops. Filoni does this around 15 times in a row, and he does it for no other reason than to increase Paladin Dance's affinity bar. Around this time too, Filoni finds himself attracted to Paladin Dance, and decides to flirt with him twice.
It would never be that way with me. I care about you too much to let that happen.
Filoni has no idea why he likes Dance so much, given he's not even gay, probably, but there's something about Dance that allures him. Turns out Dance, and every character in this game too, is bisexual for some goddamn reason. Nothing spells artificial diversity more than just making every character bisexual for no reason. Seriously, what's up with that? They obviously just wanted players to romance whoever they damn well pleased, without any regard for how sexuality actually works, and how every single character just happens to like both genders. Anyways, Filoni ends up tracking the former Institute scientist Virgil in the glowing sea and promises to get a cure for him in exchange for the teleportation technology. By the way, Filoni isn't going to make good on his promise. But first, a filler quest to kill a Courser in order to get the means to teleport. After killing the Courser, we free the Institute synth whom the Courser was hunting, and after she thanks us, Filoni kills her for nothing more than shits and giggles. Filoni also ends up having to go to the railroad to get the Courser chip analyzed, but he ends up just killing everyone there for no other reason than for, again, shits and giggles. They weren't even a popular faction to begin with, and Filoni's one for sticking to the super popular shit. Anyways, Filoni builds the teleporter with help from the Brotherhood of Steel, and unsurprisingly, the teleportation is a success. And the hunt for Filoni Jr. is over. Or at least it would be, if not for the fact that actually, it was 60 years that passed, not 10. And Filoni Jr. is actually an old man. Yeah. So Filoni decides to work for the Institute for a little bit, helping one of the Coursers with retrieving a synth who became a raider and started killing people. He also learns enough to find out that Filoni Jr. is dying from a vague form of cancer. But Filoni Sr. at this point decides he will be rewarded way more if he sides with the Legacy faction. And so he proceeds to betray the Institute and steal what the Institute needs and gives it to the Brotherhood of Steel instead. So yeah, Filoni pursues the Brotherhood quest line and finds out the hard way why he liked Paladin Danse so much despite the fact that he's not gay. Probably. Turns out that Danse was a synth, and Elder Maxon orders Filoni to kill Danse as an example to the Institute. So with that being said, Filoni goes to confront Danse, and because Filoni loves Danse, he convinces him that he's not a hindrance to mankind, and everything he's done has been in service to the greater good. The pair orchestrate a plan to fake Dance's death, but Elder Maxon catches on to ruin the day. Well, it was worth a try at least. Filoni, being as weak-willed as he is, just accepts defeat and agrees to kill Danse. Well, that could have gone better, but the good news is that Filoni is promoted to Paladin in Dance's place. Paladin Filoni doesn't really roll off the tongue, but hey, we're not complaining. I suppose Filoni's love for Danse wasn't really that strong. It was more like a strange lust. Sort of like the stash of Ahsoka porn Filoni had before the war, and now all of it is destroyed by the bombs. Anyways, it's time to storm the Institute. For the sake of fan service, we rebuild Liberty Prime and follow it as it shoots a hole into the Institute. We kill everyone in sight, and reaching Filoni Jr.'s room, we shoot him to see if he's carrying any useful loot. He isn't. And we basically go to set the reactor to explode. Filoni Jr. thinks he can laugh back though, so he reprograms the synth that we were hunting in the first two acts to think that he's our son. Filoni's very disappointed in his son's attempts to sympathy bait him, and so he decides to leave the kid to die in the Institute. Anyways, Elder Maxon gives us the honors, and it's here where we finish the main quest.
I could feel it wash over me. The heat, the force, the radiation, a fear. It's the end of the world all over again. I close my eyes. I've seen my life before all of this, before the bombs. Everything can change in an instant, and the future you plan for yourself shifts, whether or not you're ready. At some point, it happens to all of us. This wasn't the world I wanted, but it was the one I found myself in. The coming up. My home. Ripped apart and put that together. I hoped I could find my family, cheat time, make us whole again. The way we were. But now I know. I know I can't go back. I know the world has changed, that the road ahead will be hard. This time, I'm ready. Because I know war. War never changes. I'm just looking for the mayonnaise. Maybe you could grab it for me. Second shelf, right next to the pudding.
That's not funny. That's not funny at all. What kind of horrible person would say that to a kid stuck in a refrigerator?
Under the mountain, a golden fountain. Were you praying at the Larish shrine? But oh,